As we brace ourselves for yet another presidential election cycle, it's as good as a time as any to remind ourselves that even the Oval Office comes with an expiration date. Since 1789, 45 men have held the post of President of the United States, but not all of them left the world peacefully. From gripping tales of assassinations to sudden deaths under mysterious circumstances on coinciding dates, American history is peppered with shocking presidential deaths. On the mysterious dawn of January 6, 1919, the nation was gripped by the shocking demise of Theodore Roosevelt. How could the president, only 60, in seemingly good health and preparing for a potential third term, suddenly pass away? Forgotten is the cryptic night before, where he mysteriously grappled with unseen breathing woes while working. His death was officially attributed to a presumed coronary embolism, puzzling many. Shockingly, however, historians later revealed a concealed illness dating back to his son's 1918 death. Whether veiled health truths or not, Roosevelt's enigmatic end remains a silent secret carried to the grave, leaving a nation bewildered by the unexpected loss. Now this one is a bizarre story. William Henry Harrison's legendary inaugural speech as the 9th U.S. president is infamous not for its content, but for its deadly consequences. You can say it was a killer speech. Ignoring winter's bite, Harrison ditched his coat, hat, and gloves, delivering an 8,445-word marathon lasting 2 hours. The frosty spectacle aimed to dispel doubts about his intellect, but ironically led to the shortest presidency in U.S. history, lasting only a month. He succumbed to pneumonia a month later on April 4, 1841. But here's the real twist. A 2014 New York Times piece raised doubts, suggesting enteric or typhoid fever from contaminated water was the real culprit. The historic mystery lingers, leaving us to ponder who spoke the truth and who spun a tale. Next up on my list is not the death of one, but the unbelievably shocking deaths of 3 U.S. presidents. And it's not the deaths themselves that are shocking, but rather the day on which they transpired. John Adams, Thomas Jefferson, and James Monroe, stalwarts of the American Revolution, left the stage on none other than July 4th, the National Day of Freedom. Thomas Jefferson, beleaguered by health and debt, breathed his last in Virginia in 1826. On the same fateful day, John Adams, architect of the Declaration of Independence, bid adieu in Massachusetts to heart failure. In a tragic twist, Adams's parting words celebrated Jefferson's survival, famously quoting, "Thomas Jefferson survives," oblivious that his compatriot had breathed his last just hours prior. Joining this extraordinary rendezvous with destiny, the 5th President James Monroe sealed his fate on that very day just 5 years later, making it an improbable and poignant coincidence in American history. Now we enter the zone of really shocking deaths, or dare I say murders. In 1850, President Zachary Taylor clashed with Southern politicians over slavery expansion. Despite resisting Texas claims and Whig warnings, Taylor's proudest moment at the Washington Monument dedication on Independence Day was marred by unforeseen events. Clad in a buttoned-up black suit, an overheated Taylor sought relief by indulging in ice-cold milk and cherries during 4th of July celebrations, mysteriously falling gravely ill afterwards. Sounds too suspicious and convenient, doesn't it? You aren't alone in thinking that. His subsequent death, officially attributed to cholera morbus, raises suspicion among historians and scientists, with some suggesting arsenic poisoning due to symptoms synonymous with the toxic substance. On a fateful Friday morning in 1865, Abraham Lincoln, the 16th president, faced an unexpected plot twist at Ford's Theater, courtesy of actor and Confederate sympathizer John Wilkes Booth. Booth, who moonlighted as both an actor and a questionable planner, initially aimed for a kidnap the president scheme, a concept so well thought out that it could have been a rejected plotline from a Confederate Secret Service playbook. However, after hearing Lincoln's speech promoting voting rights for black people, Booth, displaying the dramatic flair typical of actors, decided to escalate things a tad, opting for the assassination route instead. As the curtains rose at Ford's Theater, Lincoln, blissfully unaware, settled in to enjoy Our American Cousin. Little did he know that Booth, the antagonist of this historical drama, lurked behind. Armed with a .44 caliber Derringer pistol, Booth's entrance was less applause-worthy and more ominous. With a cinematic flair only a theater aficionado could muster, he aimed at the back of Lincoln's head, delivering a plot twist that left the nation in shock. Lincoln's final act unfolded in a tragic 9-hour coma, concluding dramatically at 7:22 a.m. on April 15th. In the curious tale of James A. Garfield, the 20th president, the narrative unfolded at the Baltimore and Potomac Railroad Station. On July 2, 1881, Charles J. Guiteau, a writer and lawyer, arrived at the train station with a .442 Webley British Bulldog revolver. Guiteau fired 2 shots at Garfield. One bullet grazed the president's shoulder, while the other pierced his back. What unfolded next was a medical drama featuring an ironically named expert, Dr. Willard Bliss. The doctor's mission, bullet removal. However, their approach was less about precision and more about unruly probing. The charms of 19th century medical practices. Summer days passed, and Garfield, confined to the White House stage, battled fever, chills, and confusion thanks to the doctor's misguided efforts. Desperate, Dr. Bliss even enlisted Alexander Graham Bell and his metal detector in a whimsical attempt to locate the elusive bullet. Garfield endured 79 days of pain and suffering, succumbing on September 19, 1881 to iatrogenic infections, courtesy of the doctor's unsterilized finger probing. On a fateful Friday, September 6, 1901, the Temple of Music in Buffalo, New York, witnessed an event of profound tragedy. President William McKinley, minding his business at the Pan American Exposition, became the target of Leon Czolgosz, a revolver-wielding anarchist. In a bizarre twist, McKinley's wardrobe choice became the unsung hero of the day, deflecting the first bullet off a button or an award medal on his jacket, only to have the second shot play a more unfortunate role by piercing his stomach. Czolgosz's motivations remain as mysterious as the Bermuda Triangle, politically driven, yet the expected outcome is as hazy as a politician's campaign promises. As McKinley initially appeared on the road to recovery, infection decided to gatecrash the party. The president's doctors, Herman Minter and Matthew Mann, decided to take center stage with an impromptu surgery performed in a makeshift room, ill-equipped for such medical theatrics. 8 days after being shot, the 25th President of the U.S. died due to gangrene setting in around his wounds. Enter the grand stage of presidential demises, where tragedy and conspiracy go hand in hand. The shocking assassination of United States President John F. Kennedy on that unforgettable Friday, November 22, 1963, in Dallas, Texas, is the stuff of historical legend, crafting a narrative that birthed the very concept of conspiracy theories. Picture this dramatic scene. A presidential motorcade in Daley Plaza with Kennedy accompanied by his wife Jacqueline, Texas Governor John Connally, and Connally's wife Nellie. Enter the alleged protagonist, former U.S. Marine and American defector Lee Harvey Oswald, perched on the 6th floor of the Texas School Book Depository armed with controversy and a rifle. The plot unfolds with Kennedy taking a bullet in the back, its exit via his throat, followed by a headshot. The motorcade races to Parkland Memorial Hospital, but the curtain falls at 1 p.m. when Kennedy is pronounced dead. Cue the arrest of Oswald, charged not only with the assassination but also with the murder of Dallas policeman J.D. Tippit, adding a subplot to the saga. In a surprising twist worthy of a crime novel, Oswald meets his end in the basement of Dallas Police Department headquarters, courtesy of nightclub owner Jack Ruby. The Warren Commission's 1964 denouement claims Oswald acted solo, yet like a persistent encore, conspiracy theories continue to echo through the decades, with up to 80% of Americans suspecting a plot or cover-up. So, which of these presidential deaths did you find the most shocking? Let me know in the comments, and as always, thanks for watching.